Good afternoon. Okay, welcome. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I had to throw that in. That's my favorite verse that I can remember. Just good afternoon. And I just want to say that we're getting ready to start on time. We're only 3 minutes late. We have hard hats for our steering committee members, which we'll pass out to you. Also, immediately following the program, there will be photos, and so I will be pulling groups together for photos. So just be on the lookout for me, just tapping you on the shoulder saying, come take a photo over at the shovels. So without any further ado, we are getting ready to start this fantastic program on this fantastic day. Thank you. Sitting over there.
That worked out well.
Thank you. And we have our leader, Jennifer Player.
All right. So over the past 37 years, our Habitat affiliate here in Orange County has had many reasons to celebrate. In fact, I know a lot of you have attended kickoffs and dedications and house parties over the years. But today is one for the history books as we celebrate and break ground on Weaver's Grove, our most audacious project to date. So as Diane said, I'm Jennifer Player. I'm the president and CEO of Habitat for Humanity here in Orange County. And before we move on, I want to respectfully recognize the indigenous inhabitants of this land. It is our responsibility to acknowledge the Occaneechi Band of the Saponi Nation who steward this territory and still occupy this land today. Now, this land has a story even for Habitat. 19 years ago, we bought the first piece of property here. And that was through the great visionary leadership of Susan Levy, our longtime executive director, who is with us today. Of course, Susan later told us that she and the board thought they were crazy for buying this piece of property. But here we are, ready to make this 19-year dream a reality of building affordable home ownership and a mixed income community on this property. Many years of leadership, of strong financial stewardship is what has brought us to the point where we were able to really embark on a project this bold and this ambitious. We all know that buying a home in the lower end of the market in Chapel Hill is difficult to say the least, and if you read the headlines, and y'all probably know even from your communities, it's getting harder all the time. It is really challenging for people who serve our community to live here. There's a recent study that was commissioned that found that 90% of the workers in Chapel Hill are commuters, which means that people are driving in from long distances to their jobs here at our university, at our hospital, for our small businesses, our local government. The people who are the fabric of our community really cannot afford to purchase homes in our community. And that is our vision with Weaver's Grove. Of the 236 units, 101 of those will be sold to Habitat for Humanity home buyers in the traditional process. And yes, you can still come out and help build them in a little bit. And then the other homes will be built by our market rate partners, and you'll hear more about that in just a bit. This is our bold answer to the affordable housing crisis here in Chapel Hill. This 32 acres, as you can see, is stunning. It is on a great location, close to public transportation, close to great parks, and of course part of one of the best school systems, certainly in the state and even in the nation. So it's a great place for Habitat and our market rate home builders to be able to provide opportunities to our community. So for our next speaker, I want to quickly recognize our elected officials who are with us today, and we are fortunate to have many, but that means we can't recognize you all. We have local, state, federal representatives here, so if you would just do me a favor, stand up where you are so that we can recognize you for the critical role that you play in building affordable housing. And with that, I want to welcome up someone who we consider to be part of the family here at Habitat, who served on our Habitat Board of Directors for a number of years before becoming Mayor of the town of Chapel Hill. Please welcome, to bring greetings from the town, Mayor Pam Heminger.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is an exciting, exciting day. I can't tell you, I've been thinking about this for the last week, saying just how amazing. I love your words, audacious and bold. This is truly, truly an amazing next step for us in Chapel Hill, for Habitat, for the community at large. This is Habitat's, sorry, I'm very emotional about this because this has been a long time in coming. We've worked really, really hard to get this community here. It's been through many iterations. It's been championed by Habitat for a very long time. I mean, I know, Susan, you worked on this for eons. I think I was pre-school board days for me a long time ago. And Habitat's motto of everyone deserves a decent place to live is increased by this Orange Habitat's goal of everyone deserves a decent place to live and a community to live in. They don't build just houses. They build community. Oh, didn't see the chancellor. Hello. Sitting there. Whoa, just focused in. And so to bring this all together in partnership, in part of Chapel Hill, for the desperate need we have for affordable housing, but creating a community. I want you to make sure you look at the board there for all the things to bring people together, and I don't know what's going on here, sorry. To just build that close to a transit line, right next to the schools, in a great location in town to access all kinds of services. That is part of community as well. So what Jennifer didn't tell you is my husband and I have been longtime Habitat members, but they really don't like me hammering. I'm really bad at it. But what I am good at is advocating for Habitat. It's groups like this that pay it forward. They work together with community, they work together with families, they work together with volunteers, and they pay it forward. We're building for the people forever, and this is just an amazing parcel, amazing place to be. And thank you all for all your contributions, the capital campaign, all the things that go into this. We are going to be out here and we're making a community. So thank you, thank you, thank you to Habitat for continued support. Thank you for all the elected support. Thank you for all the volunteer, the board. I missed my board members from Habitat. We really had a good time together. It was fun, and thank you. The whole town council is here, so thank you all for coming. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mayor Heminger, and you have brought leadership to our community, and I hope that you and the town council and all of you are really proud of what Weavers Grove represents for our community. We really believe that this innovative community can be an inspiration to others, certainly other Habitat affiliates. We've already been asked for tours, and we're doing a presentation in April for other Habitat affiliates to learn more about what we're doing here. And we really think this could be a national model and something that we all can be proud of. So thank you. So in order to build a mixed income community as an affordable housing developer, you need partners. So Habitat is the master developer of the 32 acres, and we sought out to find partners that would, of course, believe in the vision that we have for Weavers Grove, but who also would be able to build a missing middle type of housing that is really needed in Chapel Hill, and hopefully at a price lower than the median home price, which I think right now is hovering around $500,000 per home. So we found the most incredible builder partners, let me tell you. The first is Garmin Homes, who will be building the single-family homes here on the property. Garmin Homes has, I've heard it said that they have Habitat in their DNA. because they have built, I think with our friends over in Durham, more than 10 homes. And Jim, the founder of the company, said that he probably should have gotten a minor in habitat in undergrad because he spent so many hours building habitat houses. So we are happy to have you as our partners. They really believe, and I know will celebrate based on who they are as a company, will really celebrate the vision and the diversity and vibrancy of this community. And for the condominiums, we are partnering with White Oak Properties out of Raleigh, but is no stranger to Chapel Hill, and that Roland Gammon and his team have built many homes here in Chapel Hill. Roland, for decades, has been a leader really in the missing middle market and building condominiums and townhomes. And so, and has done a number of other developments with our friends over at Community Home Trust. Roland served on the DHIC board for many years, so also clearly shows his real commitment and passion about affordable housing, and we're so thrilled to have you here today. But Weavers Grove is more than just a collection of homes. Weavers Grove is a shift in the way we think about how we build community, a shift in the way we think about how we live together as neighbors. One of the key aspects of the plan is shared community spaces, and so you'll look at the map and you can see that we will have a splash pad. We will have a community center with a big old southern wraparound front porch. We'll have a mile of walking trails that walks around the neighborhood. We'll have a playground. We'll have an open air pavilion with a fire pit. And really what we're excited about is how neighbors can build interaction amongst all of these beautiful community spaces together and really create not only a community where we have lots of different types of homes for diverse ages and backgrounds and races, but a place that really truly, as the mayor said, builds community, which is what we believe is almost even more important than building homes. So that's the vision for Weavers Grove. We're excited that you all are here with us today, and thank you for the part that you're playing. And I want to introduce to you someone who's very special to us, someone whose guidance, whose wisdom, whose expertise as a real estate developer really has given us the confidence, the staff and the board, the confidence that we needed to take on such an ambitious project. And that is our board chair, Elam Hall. Welcome, Elam.
Thank you. It's I think it's been touched on, but it's taken a long time to get here, and this is just a tremendous day. And the weather couldn't have worked out better, and to be too groundbreaking. That's where we are, and I know the history's been touched on a bit, but as we get here, I've been reflecting on some of the history, and Jennifer mentioned it, but had Susan Levy and the board back in the early 2000s not bought the land, most of the land, I don't know if we'd be here. The land price seemed high then. It's not high now. But then fast forward and this would have looked a lot differently had the development during the prepared prior to the historic downturn moved forward. And through that downturn, John Sehon, who was a past board chair and chair of the site committee, maintained relationships with other landowners around our land and was able to jump in and get control of those parcels and grow this at that time. So something else that's historical. There's another piece that sits with me as David Goldschalk, storied planning professor at UNC Chapel Hill, sketched the first concept drawing for Weavers Grove. He sketched multiple concept drawings because we didn't know how much land we were dealing with, but the plan today is largely that original concept. And so I want to thank a number of people who are here today. All of you have played a part. But first off, I'd like to thank the board. So if you are a current board member, please stand. And then it's been referred to, I think Jennifer even mentioned it, that some of our partners and volunteers that have been heavily involved in this, we call them the dream team. And as I thought about that, it's absolutely true. But what's even better about this is the dream team is a bigger group, and the Jennifer and her leadership team and her staff are part of that dream team, and they had the vision to move this forward. They did not stop. There were a lot of places along the way where we wondered, at one point there was a question: do we sell the land or do we move forward? And they didn't stop. They're fully committed to the vision of Habitat and delivering safe, affordable housing to those who work and serve in our community and need it. And so I want to mention them by name, the leadership team first, because they are part of the dream team, and of course Jennifer, who leads that group. And if you'll please stand when I say your name. Randy McNeil, he's our VP of Finance. Richard Turlington, who runs construction. And Diane Pledger, who runs development. And Steve Drake, homeowner services. And Alice Jacoby, policy and advocacy, is over here on the side. And Grace Johnston, who's back at the table, is involved in both development and finance. But as we talk about those partners and the volunteers who have spent so much time on this, many hours. When we picked this back up, I believe it was 5 years ago. And so I do want to recognize them as the other piece of the dream team. But before I do that, I think one of the things that is phenomenal about this is we have a very strong Habitat affiliate in this community. And as they embarked on this mission that's bigger than anything this affiliate's ever done, people in the community with real estate expertise or land planning expertise or civil engineering expertise stepped up and came alongside them. And that's community. And we are doing something in this community that's phenomenal and will be talked about for years to come. But the community did this. And I can't get past that when I think about it. But I want to recognize specific individuals. I'm going to leave one out, and I'm saying that because I want this person to know that they're being left out on purpose. It's part of the plan. But I'd first like to recognize, and I don't know if they're here, but Carrie Jones and Jason Letty, who are with Klein Design Architects. They're our architect team. And also, please stand. Scott Murray Land Planning is our land planner. George Richley, president of Ballantyne and Associates, is our civil engineer and surveyor. And then from our board, we've had people in and out on this. It's been 5 years, but early on, Suki Newton, our past board chair, was heavily involved. Taylor Ludlam, board member and attorney at Kilpatrick Townsend. And Anna Wu, Associate Vice Chancellor of Facilities at UNC and a board member. And so as I mentioned, I left somebody out, and the reason for that is they're going to come up here and they're going to get the equivalent of Habitat's Golden Globe, the Golden Hammer. So hopefully they're ready to thank the Academy and all the people that got them here. But Bruce Ballantyne has... I can't even tell you the number of hours. And we would not be where we are today without the amount of time he's put into this. Fierce advocate. He has a long history of working on development in Chapel Hill, and he has a heart for affordable housing, and just has been tremendous. He founded Ballantyne and Associates in 1979 and has been integral to this project. So I want you to come up and take your golden hammer. So when you go through a process like this and you get to this place, it's one of the things we say in real estate development is it doesn't matter until you're moving dirt. And so, so when are we breaking ground? The site contractor is actually mobilizing tomorrow, so we will be starting tomorrow. And this is a big project. The infrastructure will actually take until 2023 to finish. And we will start building habitat homes in the spring or summer of 2023. And we will be building homes here until 2028. So a very extensive project. The thing that is also phenomenal about this and the growth of this affiliate is historically this affiliate has built 12 homes a year, but there's so many homes here that we'll be able to increase that to 20 homes per year, which is just, that deserves a raucous cheer. And so it's my honor now to introduce Jonathan Reckford, the CEO of Habitat for Humanity International, who really is home. This is where he grew up, but Jonathan is a Chapel Hill native. He grew up on Franklin Street, and his father was a classics professor at UNC. His mom was a local advocate for social justice. He was a Moorhead Scholar at UNC Chapel Hill and went on to get his MBA at Stanford. And after a successful business career, became the CEO of Habitat for Humanity International. And what he's done for that organization is also phenomenal. Grown it from serving 125,000 individuals each year to 5.9 million people last year in all 50 states and 70 countries around the world. So I welcome Jonathan Reckford.
Good afternoon, Elam. Thank you so much. It is a joy to be here, and I have been watching this project for too many years, but I am so excited to see it come to life. And that is only possible because so many people have decided they wanted to become a part of that as well. And huge thanks to first Jennifer and the board and all of our team at Habitat for Humanity of Orange County. But the people here and all the people you represent are such a core part of that, because the reality is doing something as complicated as this requires a multi-sector approach, and it requires changing hearts and minds. And so it is, and this is exactly the kind of work we need to be doing everywhere in the world. And sometimes we jump right by it, but for I think so many of us who grew up in good housing, we take for granted what it means to have the safety, the stability of a safe, decent, and affordable place in which to live. If you ever talk to someone who didn't, it's a visceral issue. It's real. And I think sometimes in our society, we haven't valued housing as highly because most of the people in positions of power and influence grew up in good housing. And so there is a sense of taking that for granted. And of course, that's somewhat self-fulfilling, because it takes a minor miracle for someone who didn't grow up in safe, decent, affordable housing to reach positions of power and influence. And so what you're doing here in creating mixed income community, well located, and not just building homes, but building community, is so fundamentally important. We know, and the data is overwhelmingly clear, that if a child grows up in a mixed income community, she stays healthier, she has a better opportunity to be well educated, and has a better opportunity in those communities of opportunity to grow into all that God intends for her life or his life. And you take out housing. Housing is certainly not the only need, but in many ways it's a prerequisite. And if you pull that out, we don't get the health outcomes, we don't get the educational outcomes, and we don't see that positive path that we need. So as Elam said, and many of you know, this is home for me. And home in Arabic, bait, is more than walls and a roof. It really goes to your identity. And so for me, anytime I'm back in Chapel Hill, it's coming home. But I often think about the foundation I was given to grow up in such an incredible town, and how blessed I was from that, and how many things I took for granted. And it was that launching pad for me that allowed me to go out into the world. And one of the things that is concerning, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, is when I was a small child way too many years ago, most everybody could live in Chapel Hill that worked in Chapel Hill. And so generally we were talking about actually just before this, there were 2 middle schools, everybody went to one of the 2 middle schools, it was a mixed income town. We went to St. Thomas More Church, and if you were Catholic, everybody in town, you had professors and doctors and blue collar workers, and we worshiped together. That is not true in Chapel Hill anymore today. And that's not true all over our country. And so we have become economically as well as racially divided in too many communities. But the economic division is an enormous long-term challenge if we don't fix it. It's also a practical challenge. It's great that Kevin and Amy are here, and the university is such a core part of this town. And we were talking yesterday that so many people who work in Chapel Hill cannot live in Chapel Hill. Now that's not just tough for them, that's bad for everybody. And ultimately we will choke. So it is bad for the environment, it is bad for quality of life, and it is bad for the kind of community we aspire to if we can't do better. All of which gets me so excited about Weaver's Grove and the potential this has. It's not going to just be transformational for the children who grow up in this community and the launching place it becomes for them. It is going to have an impact all around the community. And I would also say, as excited as I am about this, it is also insufficient. And I don't want to make all of you tired. And one of my former board chairs said, the reward for doing good is the opportunity to do more. And it's not because we have a lot to do right here, but we recognize that Habitat for Humanity can never build enough houses to solve this problem. So in many ways, the reason we want to engage volunteers is not a construction strategy, though there's some probably really good individual builders represented here in the room. But if we want to change hearts and minds and change our society, what Habitat does by bringing people together from different backgrounds to serve in the community in relationship with the families that are buying these homes starts to change, can be transformational in itself. And I know for me personally, I didn't really understand Habitat until I was working at the Walt Disney Company some 25 plus years ago. And Disney would spend a fortune on what I would call artificial team building. And we would do all these contrived ways of trying to get people together. I took my team out and spent a day putting siding on a house alongside the family that was going to buy that home. It was infinitely more powerful, not just for the family, but for all of us to come together in a different way that appealed to our shared values, and little did I know, led us to coming back. I loved it. I love that experience of community. And I think sometimes on the build site, we experience community in a way that we all desperately want. And too rarely have. And boy, COVID just has exacerbated that in so many ways. We had an affordable housing crisis before COVID. There are 18 million families pre-COVID who are spending over half their income on rent or mortgage, and that forces unacceptable choices around all the other things we need in life. COVID has just made it worse. It's exacerbated the economic divide. Those of us who are blessed enough to have knowledge, work, and assets, COVID's actually been a financial positive, ironically. But for service workers and those who didn't have housing, it really put an exclamation point on what it meant to have safe housing. Suddenly, if you're in overcrowded conditions, whether that is in Cambodia or in Orange County, it's tough to shelter in place if you don't have decent shelter. And I think sometimes that's given us a window now to bring attention to this issue because it's gotten so bad. In a way, I hope that we can start to change. I love the Congressman Price is here, one of our longtime champions. We have to change policy at the local level, we have to change at the state level, we have to change at the federal level if we're going to do something at the scale. The other thing is it has to be a multi-sector approach, and the fact that we have here the county, the city, the university, the private sector, civil society, and members of the community, I think is the only way that we can achieve our goals. Sometimes I think the danger of talking about data is it stays up here, and I think one of the other powerful parts about Habitat is when does it become personal? And sometimes we stop the story and then they got the house, then they bought the house, and how powerful that is. I think what really matters is what happens because of that. And I just want to share briefly, my friend Boris, I wish he had grown up here, but not so far from here, grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Boris grew up in a community called The Hole, and you can imagine how great that was. And there were shootings, there was heavy violence, he had no indoor plumbing, and Boris was one of those children who could have been written off. He was really struggling in school, he was acting out, he had no place to study, and when he was in third grade, he told me everything changed. His mom qualified to buy a Habitat home. and they moved from the Hole to Optimist Park. And, you know, I think just the imagery of that says so much, right? And it turned out Boris was actually a very bright kid. He had just never had a situation that allowed him to blossom. Teachers paid attention to him. He got mentors. He had a safe and stable environment, and he started taking off. He got a full scholarship to Davidson College, got an MBA, went into banking, and then started building affordable housing, and now is working in senior care. And he's the first person that I'm aware of who grew up in a Habitat home to serve on our global board of directors. And when you meet Boris, he is one of those people who is transforming the world. And I share that because we need to celebrate that, but also how many more kids out there who could do so much if they just had that opportunity. And that's why we care so passionately that everyone, and everyone's a big number, but everybody in Orange County ought to have a safe, stable place to live, so rightly in a community in which they can truly grow into all that we and God hopes for their lives. So thank you for the sweat equity you have all put in. We love skilled volunteers. We love construction workers, but when people show up with financial skills and development skills and all the myriad of things, fundraising skills, we love fundraising skills. It is, that's how community starts to happen. So I am so excited. I look forward to many chances to come back and see this move from an idea that was fought against to an idea that was believed in, to a transformational community that is bringing life to the whole county around it, and hopefully sets a model so that we want private developers, as they create communities, to invite Habitat and other nonprofits into their communities, just as Habitat has created the partnership this way. So I love this. Thank you. God bless you, and thank you for letting me come home.
Is that good? Okay. We'll give it a shot. Thank you so much, Jonathan. We're so happy to have you home. We were talking about the football game a little earlier, which we both got to attend yesterday and get excited about the Heels winning yesterday. I did want to take one quick second to recognize someone who slipped in, and that is Representative Verla Insko, who's here today. And it's great to have Representative Insko here, but even more important right now, because you may know that Representative Insko has just announced her retirement. She has served in the General Assembly for 24 years and has built on her local legacy of serving on the Chapel Hill School Board and the Board of Orange County Commissioners. So we just want to thank you for your service and glad you're here. And now another one of our favorites that calls Chapel Hill home, I would like to invite up Congressman David Price, who is not only a champion for affordable housing here, but is one of our greatest champions throughout the country, certainly for Habitat programs, for Habitat affiliates across the country. We all look to Congressman Price for his leadership on affordable housing issues, and we're so happy to have you here. Welcome.
Well, thank you and good afternoon, everyone. I just sense the enthusiasm in the audience here for this occasion and our gratitude for all who've made this day possible. And it has been a long time coming, but by the same token, so many people have gotten involved and have a stake in this. It is going to be a wonderful success, and we look forward very much to this community unfolding before us. I'm happy to be here with fellow elected officials, happy to join in paying tribute to our friend Verla Insko, and I also want to represent our state senator, Valerie Fouché, who is also offering great representation for this area, and we do want to come together for this occasion because it is, as the chairman of the Housing Appropriations Subcommittee in the Congress, it means everything to have this kind of hometown success story. You know, It is really the 4th district, and that includes, of course, Durham and Raleigh, but Orange County, my hometown. It really is a center of concern and action for affordable housing. And so that puts wind at my back and gives me a little credibility, I must say, in talking about what we want to see happen nationwide. This Weaver's Grove project, you've heard all about it. You understand that it's going to have 101 Habitat homes. And then beyond that, the rest of the 237 houses and duplexes and condos, the rest of them are going to be market rate, but affordable market rate. And I think it's appropriate that we stress that. The affordable market rate level, we're not building enough of that level. We're not making enough housing at that level affordable. And these are folks who serve our communities, who need to live and work among us. And so that is a very, very positive feature. This is going to be quite a community, and it's going to add very much to the richness of the environment. Just a couple of quick thoughts here. We are observing, among other things, I think, today, the evolution of the Habitat organization. It's not just one house at a time anymore. That was wonderful, one house at a time, one congregation building one house at a time. But we're now building whole neighborhoods at a time. It still has that same volunteer ethos. It still has that same community connection. But Habitat for Humanity has become a major provider of housing domestically and internationally. And so there's a lot of credit due to the leadership, including present company, the leadership who have brought Habitat to that point. This is really a major contribution, and Habitat for Humanity, of course, is at the heart of it. The other way in which Habitat has evolved, and Jonathan has hinted at this, is it has become an important advocacy organization for enlightened housing policy. Now, Habitat, I can tell you, still advocates for the federal programs that are of direct interest to Habitat, and that's what they should do. And I'm happy to report that the fiscal 2022 appropriations bill, we're present and accounted for when it comes to home, when it comes to community development block grants, when it comes to SHOP, and then in a related bill, and this always needs to be mentioned, when it comes to national service and AmeriCorps. Those components of Habitat's operation draw on federal funding streams. And we need to attend to that, and of course they attend to that. They let us know. They're there every year talking about their needs. But they're also talking about our broader housing needs. And that's very important, because housing isn't always appreciated as a front burner issue. It's right up there. It must be right up there with public education, health care, and housing. The essential components. The essential components of a stable and promising life for our families. You've heard, I've gotten a lot of mileage out of this story, but I'll tell it quickly once again. Some of you may not have heard. I remember in my early years of service, Millard Fuller, the founder of Habitat, came to town, and I happened to be seated with him at dinner, and somehow brought up, there was a mayor back then of one of our major cities who had just issued a pronouncement that he wasn't going to be supporting various affordable housing initiatives because, after all, we had Habitat. So I told Fuller that, and he could barely contain himself. Said, "What the hell?" I mean, we need all hands on deck. We need all hands on deck. Our housing needs are so pressing and so severe and so diverse that we all ought to be pushing on all fronts to support affordable housing. Well, that was his attitude, and over the years, I think that has been fleshed out in Habitat's advocacy and Habitat's lobbying activity. And so there's a lot riding right now on that advocacy, and I'll close just by reminding us all of that. The pandemic isn't over, and certainly the pandemic relief isn't over. We hope we're getting there. But if there's anybody in this county who has fallen behind on their rent, who is in danger of eviction, we have the HOPE program, and we have had a little trouble getting everybody participating in the HOPE program that needs to. But for goodness sakes, don't let that happen. That rental assistance is there, and it is available, and it needs to be taken advantage of. And soon to come, I wish it had been sooner, is going to be a comparable funding stream to take care of mortgage assistance and people who may be in danger of foreclosure. So there is that. The pandemic piece of this still isn't over. And then the major initiative that is being debated in this country right now has a lot of good news for housing if we can possibly get it done, and I think we will get it done. I think it's regrettable that the bipartisan negotiators on infrastructure didn't understand that housing is infrastructure. But that second bill that is hopefully going to accompany the infrastructure bill is going to have some very good news for housing in this country. We are going to take a major bite out of the rehabilitation of public housing. That's a backlog that amounts to $70 billion, if you can imagine. You see the tip of the iceberg when you have carbon monoxide poisoning over at McDougal Terrace, right? That is only the tip of the iceberg. The public housing in this country is in a disgraceful state, and this so-called reconciliation bill gives us the chance to take a major bite out of that, and we simply must do it. Secondly, the bill will put more vouchers on the street. We have waiting lists in every city in this country for vouchers for rental assistance, and so we need to step that up in a major way, and at the same time encourage housing production so people have a place to use those vouchers. And that's where the home program comes in. It's where the tax credits come in, the housing trust fund, other accounts that help us produce affordable housing. And then finally, we have some down payment assistance and other encouragements to home ownership. So that bill can be a game changer. And we advocate, and I, of course, want to make as good a down payment on these things as I possibly can in our appropriations bill. But the effort that's underway in this country right now has major implications for the issue that we're celebrating today and that we care about. And so we need to press ourselves into action to make sure that gets done. But it all comes down to celebrations like this all over the country, observances of community efforts, people in our community who are going to have better lives because of what we're able to do together. Habitat is the enabling organization here, so thank you for all that you've done to bring us to this day. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Congressman Price, for your fitting words and comments supporting both nationally and locally the affordable home ownership causes and mission of Habitat. Good afternoon. I am Diane Pledger. I am the Vice President for Development and a lifelong resident of Chapel Hill. Public philanthropy is the critical accelerator for realizing this innovative project. I am pleased to announce that in less than a year from the date that we started this campaign, we have raised $4.7 million in our quiet phase. This is 2/3 of our goal. We are so excited. The campaign steering committee developed and implemented the fundraising strategy with enthusiasm, focus, and expertise. And so I want to recognize our campaign committee chairs that are looking right at me with their big pretty eyes, Betsy Blackwell and Mimi Hawk. Along with our steering committee and honorary committee members in attendance and viewing virtually today, if you all will stand, I know you're here, our honorary committee members, if you're here, our steering committee members, yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. The vision of affordable home ownership in a mixed income community has inspired campaign gifts beyond what we thought was possible and at a faster rate than we had envisioned, especially including 2 large foundation gifts, which we had no idea to expect at this stage in our campaign. One of which is a $500,000 grant from the F.M. Kirby Foundation. And the second is a $450,000 grant from the Keenan Charitable Trust. Both present today. Our gratitude is overwhelming. Given the resounding support from our donors for strengthening the fabric of our community by supporting Weavers Grove, the momentum we have sustained in the last year and a half to almost reach the $5 million milestone a year earlier than we had anticipated, and the opportunity before us to reach out to a sizable group of untapped potential donors. You know, a fundraiser, we loved it. Untapped potential prospects following the public launch of the campaign. The Habitat leadership team and the board of directors are so inspired to announce our capital campaign goal of $7.5 million. Our campaign donors to date total 88 strong. And you can see from these numbers that we have the opportunity to grow our engagement with all categories of potential donors. Now it's time to celebrate. Celebrate this progress of the campaign and to engage our community at large in helping us to bring the Weavers Grove project to a reality. Today, we officially launch our public phase. This phase kicks off with the announcement, I got another announcement? With the announcement of a $450,000 challenge match from the Keenan Charitable Trust consisting of 1-to-1 new dollar and pledge magic gifts to a maximum of $450,000. We can do it. So immediately following this groundbreaking, we will publicly announce the community gift phase at our house party hosted by Harriet and Edwin Poston. So we really hope that you will be joining us there. Now I would like to introduce Laura Verkler, Chair, Board of Directors of the F.M. Kirby Foundation. The Kirby Foundation's gift is the largest gift to Habitat's history. And we see this gift as a catalyst for giving and has positioned Habitat in a stronger financial position for the future. We are grateful for your time today and your commitment to Habitat and to the Weavers Grove Project. Welcome, Ms. Verkler, to the stage.
Thanks so much, Diane, for that introduction and for including my family and our foundation here today. It's interesting, if you look back at the F.M. Kirby Foundation's mission that my great-great-grandfather back in 1931 wrote, it stated, quote, "The goal of the foundation is to invest in opportunities to foster self-reliance and otherwise create strong, healthy communities." Having listened to Jennifer Player, Jonathan Reckford, Ellen Hall, Congressman Price, Mayor Heminger, today it's easy to see that Weavers Grove seems to be the embodiment of our mission. With 101 Habitat homes within this community, these homeowners will have the opportunity to change the path of their future and their children's future. I can only imagine the interactions that'll take place between neighbors as they learn from one another. They'll learn how to care for their house, how to be compassionate and supportive neighbors, and how to help one another and become and create a welcoming community. Weavers Grove will give families the opportunity to live in a town where they work and become thriving members of that town. Children will be enrolled in a great school system, and these families will have the stability that's so important in helping create a new cycle of empowerment and self-reliance. The Habitat of Orange County lists on its website that it wants, quote, "to work with families to create better, healthier, and more financially stable lives." Having a home in Weavers Grove is going to put each of those families on a path that with the ability to be healthier, happier, and significantly more financially stable. That's something that everyone in this project should be immensely proud of. As many other foundations and other funders have been doing, our foundation has been seeking to invest more in nonprofits serving communities of color, and Weavers Grove represents an amazing opportunity to help narrow the wealth gap that still unfortunately exists in our country. 101 families from diverse backgrounds with different experiences will be able to attain the dream of homeownership, and we are immensely proud to be able to support their successes. The F.M. Kirby Foundation has supported Habitat of Orange County for almost 25 years, thanks in no small part to the love and commitment that my father, George Horton, has had for this organization. We've all heard over the years about each of the successes here at Habitat, and I know how much he wanted this project to happen. So I'm thrilled that it's now coming to fruition. Weavers Grove is an innovative project combining Habitat homes and market rate homes. The fact that families who have previously suffered from homelessness or have lived in unsafe or unstable environments will now be able to walk with their children on the trails here in their neighborhood, or kick a ball on the fields, or learn to grow vegetables in the garden, the community garden, or run through that fabulous water splash pad brings a smile to my face. I join many other funders in sharing our excitement and anxiously awaiting the completion of this project. Thank you.
Wow. I had all sorts of closing remarks, and I'm just going to say what she said. Thank you, Laura. Thank you to the Kirby Foundation. I know we have guests here from New Jersey. Thanks to the Keenan Trust here from Nantucket. What an exciting day, y'all. This is incredible. I'm so grateful deeply from the bottom of my heart for each of you who is a piece of this puzzle. We have one more speaker as we wrap up. I want to say as soon as we get done, you can see these beautiful hammers over here. So all of our guests on the stage are going to... Yeah. I'm going to keep my day job. These beautiful shovels, which we will exit right, and we will break some ground in just a moment. And before we do that, though, we have one more really special. He stood when we said stand for our honorary committees. This is Reverend Justin Coleman, who is passionate about social justice issues in the Chapel Hill community. He's someone who inspires me all the time. He's the senior pastor of my church, University United Methodist Church. Please finish our program, and then we'll move to the groundbreaking. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Jennifer, you have placed a preacher under a tent with people on a Sunday afternoon. It's quite reminiscent of a revival, I think, but fear not, dear friends. The message will be short, and I will not do a traditional altar call. You know, when I think about this gathering today, I cannot help but to hope this will revive us, however, in some way. It's not just that we will be reviving the land or what is built here, and we'll be reviving it for people. No, we expect this project to revive us. I can't think of any project that is more consistent with the values of our town than this one. It gives us the opportunity to not just talk the talk around affordable housing, and we know that people in our area can talk the talk about affordable housing. It gives us the ability to walk the walk. And so if there is an altar call, I hope that we open our hearts to it. I hope we open our hands. I hope we open our pocketbooks. And I hope that this work will revive us and our town. And so in that spirit, let us pray together. Lord, yours is the earth and all that is in it. And in your goodness, you have entrusted it to our care, to provide us with food and places to dwell together as your people. We ask that you would bless this land today. May it be a place where your designs for our children's lives are wisely discerned and nurtured. We ask your blessing and safety for all who will take part in building at this site. May they be filled with your strength and peace as they labor to bring it into fulfillment. We pray that your plans for our Weavers Grove community would be brought into fulfillment, and that these plans would inspire us. May all who come to dwell here be filled with the joy of your abiding presence. We ask these things in your holy name. Amen.
So we will have, if you would like to sit and just turn your attention to the area to your left. And then we will have our podium guests be the first. Then we would like members of the steering committee and board to come up. Be careful. And we still have, if I can get some staff to help with hard hats. And make sure all of our steering committee have their hard hats. Sharon, you have one back there calling you out. Sylvia and Fred, please be careful when you're walking. Oh, we got some cameras. We're going to have our political, our elected officials next.
Kaylee, you're gonna have to get all those people out of the way.
Sorry for